No more work permits for future grads in certain fields. Canada's 2024 rules leave business and tourism students facing uncertainty. Welcome back to Canada Chronicles. In today's video, we're diving into some major changes that are set to reshape the landscape for international students in Canada. If you've been studying business, tourism, or hospitality, or are planning to, these upcoming immigration rules could have a huge impact on your future. We'll break down everything you need to know about the post-graduation work permit, how the new regulations might leave certain students without work opportunities after graduation, and what options remain for those affected. And stay with us until the end, where we'll explore how Canada's 2024 immigration shift is changing the game for international students. You won't want to miss these crucial insights. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our updates on immigration news and student life in Canada. Let's get started. As we approach November 2024, significant changes are reshaping the landscape for international students in Canada. For decades, international students have relied on Canada's post-graduation work permit to build careers and gain permanent residency. However, not all graduates will qualify for these permits anymore, particularly those in fields like business, tourism, and hospitality. The new rules are designed to align with Canada's labor market needs, but they leave many students uncertain about their futures. What is a post-graduation work permit and why does it matter? The post-graduation work permit allows international students who complete a qualifying program in Canada to stay and work for up to 3 years. It's not just about gaining work experience, it's a crucial step toward permanent residency. Programs such as the Canadian Experience Class and various provincial nominee programs often require Canadian work experience, and the PGWP provides that essential experience. Historically, the PGWP has been one of the main draws for international students. It opens up opportunities to stay, work, and eventually apply for permanent residency. But as Canada's labor market evolves, the government is now prioritizing certain fields over others when granting PGWPs. This has led to concerns, especially among students in fields like business and tourism, who may no longer be eligible under the new rules. Why the changes? Canada's labor market realignment. Canada is facing critical labor shortages in industries such as healthcare, STEM, skilled trades, and agriculture. These shortages have been exacerbated by the post-pandemic period, prompting the government to rework immigration policies. As part of this realignment, the PGWP program now favors students in fields that align with these labor market needs. The government's decision is part of a broader economic strategy. With an aging population and a shrinking workforce, Canada must attract skilled workers in high-demand sectors to sustain economic growth. While this approach is crucial for key industries, it leaves students in other fields, particularly business, tourism, and hospitality, feeling left behind. Fields impacted by the new PGWP rules. Starting in November 2024, international students graduating in certain fields will no longer be eligible for the PGWP. This applies to students beginning their studies after this date. The fields most affected by these changes include business administration and management, tourism and hospitality, some non-STEM and non-healthcare fields. The new policy prioritizes students in healthcare, STEM, agriculture, and skilled trades, which are experiencing labor shortages. Meanwhile, students in business and tourism, popular fields among international students, particularly from India, China, and Brazil, will face limited post-graduation options. This change is raising significant concerns within the student community. The impact on business and tourism students, facing uncertainty. Let's now take a closer look at how this is specifically affecting students in business and tourism programs. Two of the most impacted fields. The loss of the PGWP creates serious challenges for these students. Many have traditionally relied on the PGWP to gain Canadian work experience, repay student loans, and eventually apply for permanent residency. Without the PGWP, their career plans in Canada become much more uncertain. Financially, the implications are significant. International students often invest tens of thousands of dollars each year in tuition, expecting to work in Canada after graduation to offset these costs. Without the PGWP, many may have to return home, burdened by debt and lacking the Canadian work experience they need to progress in their careers. Economic and personal costs of the PGWP changes. The cost of losing the PGWP isn't just financial. Many international students have built lives in Canada, establishing professional networks, forming relationships, and contributing to local communities. Being forced to leave Canada after graduation represents a personal loss that goes beyond financial concerns. For many, years of investment in their education and future in Canada now hang in the balance. The policy shift has sent shockwaves through the international student community. Current students are reconsidering their options, and prospective students are wondering if pursuing education in Canada is still worthwhile without the security of post-graduation work opportunities. Protests and pushback. Growing tensions. International students across Canada are pushing back against these changes. Protests have taken place in cities such as Brampton, Vancouver, and Toronto, with students demanding more clarity and fairness. Many argue they were drawn to Canada by the promise of post-graduation work opportunities, only to see those prospects suddenly fade. Advocacy groups have also voiced concerns that these changes disproportionately affect students from developing countries, particularly those from India and China. These students often rely heavily on the PGWP as their only route to staying in Canada after completing their studies. What are the options for students affected by the PGWP changes? For students in fields no longer eligible for the PGWP, there are still alternatives to consider. 1. Provincial nominee programs. Some provinces offer pathways to permanent residency for international graduates. However, these programs tend to focus on students in high-demand sectors. Students in business or tourism may find it harder to qualify, but exploring PNP options in your province is still a must. 2. Employer-sponsored work permits. Another option is employer sponsorship through the labor market impact assessment process, where an employer demonstrates the need for a foreign worker to fill a position. This can be a viable route for students with job offers in Canada. 3. Switching to in-demand programs. Some students may choose to transfer to programs in fields still eligible for the PGWP, such as healthcare or STEM. While this option requires additional time and investment, it can open new doors for students determined to stay in Canada. 4. Express entry for permanent residency. For students with high comprehensive ranking system scores, express entry remains an option for securing permanent residency. Job offers, language proficiency, and other points-boosting factors can help students qualify for this pathway. Thanks for staying with us this far. We appreciate your time and hope you're finding this information valuable. Now, let's explore how Canada's 2024 immigration shift is changing the game for international students. The November 2024 changes have left thousands of students in fields like business and tourism facing an uncertain future. Students who once relied on the PGWP may now find it more challenging to stay and work in Canada after graduation. This shift reflects Canada's evolving economic priorities, focusing on sectors facing the greatest labor shortages. But for students in non-priority fields, these changes raise serious questions about their future in the country. For years, international students have been an essential part of Canada's education and labor systems, contributing billions to the economy. As the new rules take effect, many of these students are left wondering about their next steps. What's next for affected students? With November approaching, international students in the affected fields need to act quickly. If you're close to graduation, now is the time to explore other pathways, whether that's applying for provincial nominee programs, seeking employer sponsorship, or shifting to higher demand programs. Stay informed about any further updates or extensions the government may introduce as the policy changes take hold. Student advocacy groups are continuing their efforts to push for more inclusive immigration policies that recognize the contributions of all international students, regardless of their field of study. Whether the government introduces any flexibilities remains to be seen, but the coming months are likely to be pivotal for the international student community in Canada. So, as you can see, these changes are creating new challenges for international students, particularly in fields like business and tourism. While the loss of the post-graduation work permit may feel like a major roadblock, there are still options available, from provincial nominee programs to employer sponsorships, or even transitioning to in-demand fields. Stay informed and start planning ahead so you're ready to adapt. Thanks for watching today's episode of Canada Chronicles. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with anyone who might benefit from this information. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update on immigration and student life in Canada. Until next time, stay informed and take care.